Right guys, welcome to this, the history of Bushido part 6. Now, we always think of the samurai as being these fair, justice-filled warriors who are, out there for nobility and truth. But actually, most of samurai life, or history, or culture, has a very strong aspect of nepotism. And that means basically, give your family members a job, even if you're not the best person for it. There are so many examples in samurai times of entire governments being constructed, people being put in position just because they've got a certain family name. So imagine the government is just there, yeah? And they're just having their, the Prime Minister or the President's having his breakfast and he's like, who should I put in position as First Minister? And who should be Minister of the Left and Minister of the Right? Or who should be this? Well, my nephew, my second cousin, my uncle, and then, so not caring about if they can do the job or not, just putting them in positions of power. So then when it comes to decision making, you say, right, we're all making this decision. And they're, of course, all under you because you're the head of the family. And then you make the decisions you want. So it might seem like people are interacting and there's councils, which there were in Japanese times, in samurai times. There was councils for this, councils for that, the court. There was lots of different ways that government was sort of fitted together with the little chinks and gears that made Japan work. But the problem is the person or the organisation putting them gears in place is actually somebody just putting their own things in place. So what we find from the lowest levels of Japanese society to the highest levels, that often pedigree outshines ability. So what you find is you get a decline in things, and then what happens? It gets to a certain point that you decline, everything sort of breaks down, and then it goes up again. So let's imagine the first emperor, way back in the day, is actually a military power. They're connected to heaven. They clearly rule the land. They are the emperor of Japan. At the time, they're just basically a tribal king, but they're considered the emperor. So they're not the emperor in the way that you would think. But basically, you've got the old kings of Japan. They of course create court life. This gets all fancy and collapses, and then you get the samurai come in and help them and support them, and then the samurai take control and they're the powerful ones, putting all their people in position. That then sort of becomes old, and very quickly the wrong people in the wrong jobs, and that collapses, and then we get what's called the upside down world, where the lesser noble samurai took over from the very aristocratic samurai. You got the Sengoku period, and then of course you've got like the top leaders, the top warriors, Hideyoshi, Tokugawa and everyone, they take control, and then of course then the same thing happens. They put the wrong people in the wrong place, and eventually it all collapses. So the samurai never learn from the past, nor do they think about fair sort of government, fair, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, they don't consider the best way to get the best person in the job in the best way they can. There are examples of this throughout, and you do find stuff like Toyotomi Hideyoshi. He's like, right, I'm just going to take over because we're in a state of chaos here. So chaos is there. The best get to the top and do their stuff. Tokugawa rises. He wasn't even that powerful, Tokugawa, but he rises up to the top. Nobunaga was totally like out there on the wing, and then he just swung in and took over everything. So you see, what you find is that when it all collapses, people of ability push it back up, but then of course they set rules, put their uncles, nephews, everybody in, and it all collapses again. So when you're thinking of the samurai, if you're out there, samurai students, always remember that they weren't so clever at maintaining a long-standing society. We know the samurai lasted for 1,000 years, but they didn't last for 1,000 years there to there uninterrupted without any problems. It went up, crash, up, crash, up, crash, up, crash. And that, unfortunately, is the way Bushido makes Japan work. And of course, that's all gone now, and they have a modern government. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please get yourself a copy of the Book of Bushido. It's got all this information for you and lots of other things.